Hello everyone, Tim Gamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Now today I'm going to be focusing on Faceless Void, who's a really interesting hero to play. You know, he's a hero who has the potential to be absolutely devastating, but also has one of the most derping, juicing ultimates out there, which can completely screw your team over if used incorrectly. But you know, he's a super fun hero to play. We're beginning to see him played a little bit in the pro scene, you know, very situationally. He's slowly being buffed and buffed. You know, he's had a massive increase in movement speed in his ultimate, which I'll get into a little bit in the most recent patch. So he's slowly becoming better and better. And you know, with the right item build, with a little bit of space and farm, he's a really devastating carry. So let's talk a little bit about Faceless Void. Now, he's a melee-based hero, he's an agi-based hero, so the vast majority of the strongest carries in the game are agility-based. You know, that's because, if I actually look here, for example, you know, when agility is your primary attribute, you gain damage, armor, and attack speed for every single point in agility you get. So when you say, for example, a strength hero, they only gain damage, hit points, and health regen. So for DPS, agility is always the best way to go, and Void falls very firmly into that bracket. There we go, get my words out, and I completely balls the block up straight away, because hey, what would be a game of Dota unless you had a absolutely completely and utterly ballsed up block? But you know, let's start off as per usual talking about the starting item build. You know, very standard build. There's 3 Ironwood branches, Quelling Blade to help with last hitting, and a little bit of in-lane regen. And this is relatively greedy. You know, obviously getting a Quelling Blade means that you have to, you know, scrimp on a little bit of regen here and there, but this is a very useful item build to help you last hit. And we're up against a Tusk and a Slardar off lane, which is far from standards. You know, this team, I think, randomed quite a few of their heroes, so this is a lane where we should do quite well in, because there's 2 melee heroes. We have a range support in lane, and wow, that was a really fast first blood mid. Actually, we had a gank from Vengeful Spirit go mid there, pick him off, so that was really useful. And Vengeful Spirit's going to be heading bottom as well, because if Faceless Void early on really can't do much. Has a very slow attack speed. He's only hitting for 64 damage, so early lane presence, as with most hard carries, is very limited. So you do want some support with him as early as possible, and a tri-lane's always a good way to go. But you know, let's talk about the skills. The first skill, very useful to level up, is Time Walk. Now, Time Walk is an escape as well as an initiation ability for Faceless Void. It rushes him to a location, and it slows the movement and attack speed of all enemy heroes that he passes through. Now, it starts off with a 700 range, scaling up to 1300, so 700, 900, 1100, and then a 1300 range at the end. It has a 3-second duration, so that's how long it takes to travel a distance. It has an attack speed slow and a move speed slow, like I've mentioned. They start at 20% at level 1, scaling to 50% at max level. So, you know, a 50% attack and move speed slow at max level is a huge deal. It's a really useful thing, but like I mentioned, it can be used to initiate or it can be used to escape, and you'll see I think both of these be used here. You know, I get away in a little bit from Tusk using it, and it's just a very useful skill, and it's always useful to level this up early. I just wander around here, get snowballed, and you see, there I go. Time Walk straight out, and then we begin to turn on the Slardar, do a little bit of damage and force them out of lane. And this is the benefit of scaling this or leveling it as early as possible in lane. Because if you get initiated on like I did there, you know, if I didn't have Time Walk, I would have been in a lot of trouble, because I would have had to walk around the ice shards. The enemy heroes could have got a few more hits off on me, possibly could have killed, but I managed to Time Walk straight through the obstacle, which is another good thing about this ability. It enables you to pass over obstacles like I did with the ice shards, and it keeps you alive, and now I can go back to farming. So very useful. It also makes you invulnerable when you're doing this, so you're invulnerable to attacks and stuns. Again, very useful for escaping or initiating. So that's the first skill. Backtrack is a passive skill, and something that I've leveled up now. It grants you evasion. So the evasion scales from 10% at level 1 to 25% at level 4. Now, this is incredibly useful because it actually stacks with other sorts of evasion. So if you get a Butterfly or a Heaven's Halberd, the evasion does stack, which is incredibly useful. You know, I get a butterfly later on in the game, and I'll talk about a butterfly a little bit more, but with the evasion stacking, you can actually get a 51% block chance with a maxed out backtrack and a butterfly, which is a huge dodge chance. It really is great, and this is what really does add to Faceless Void's strength, that incredible dodge chance. It really is very, very useful in lane, and we're going on him here. The Ice Shards comes in. Not really sure we can get a kill. I could have time walked onto him there, tried to slow him down and get a few hits off, but I didn't want to dive too deep. Like I mentioned earlier, Faceless Void is someone who definitely needs a lot of farm. And I'm already up to 22 last hits in a contested lane. Not a bad start at all. I just want to resume farming and keep up. And then if they go too aggressive and get out of position, we have a stun on Venge, we have a stun on Lina, have nukes on Lina, minus armor on Venge, and then I can do a slow attack speed and move speed. We can really take these guys down. So this is very, very useful. I've got a quick pause here, but let's talk a little bit more about backtrack. Like I mentioned, it stacks with evasion. It is not disabled by true strike as well, which is another absolutely fantastic thing. Because you see a lot of evasion, obviously the butterfly and the Heaven's Halberd are disabled by a Monkey King bar, which provides true strike. But backtrack will always provide you evasion. That is a huge deal. So even very, very late game, you're still going to have evasion on Faceless Void, which is massive. Very useful as well. It will provide dodge chance to AoE abilities. So if there's a big AoE stun or a nuke, it can provide evasion of that. It's not just unit target abilities, and it can actually provide evasion to things like stuns, but the problem is it won't disable the secondary effect. So if someone casts a stun on you, it will still stun you, but you do have a chance of dodging the damage. So whilst it is a good ability, it's not a get out of jail free card. If someone comes and they just blow you up with nukes, you're going to die very, very quickly. And the little bit of dodge chance isn't very useful in certain situations. But having just a standard dodge chance which doesn't get removed by true strike is exceptionally useful. So that's that one. Let's move on to his third skill, which again is another passive, Time Lock. Time Lock is a stun, basically. It has a chance scaling at 10% at level 1 up to 25%, exactly the same scaling as backtrack, and it does a 1 second stun or 2 second on creeps, and what it does basically is it locks them in place for that amount of time, and you'll see that in use plenty of times throughout the gameplay. I haven't leveled it up yet. I've gone for the evasion and the 1 point in time walk to escape, and there we go, first level in Time Lock now. And what it actually does as well is it provides a damage bonus. So the damage bonus scales from 40 to 70, so 40, 50, 60, 70, 1 to 4. And it just provides a great ability. So you can time walk onto a guy, you can stun him in place with Time Lock, and then you have all of that extra damage. And this Lina looks incredibly dead here. It was a little bit too far up. Managed to actually get him out. I was careful not to block Lina there. And we're trying to turn this around. Venge comes in, gets the stun. Lina does die, but this is where we can chase Slardar down. See, I use the time walk. There's the move speed slow. I'm just hoping for a bit of RNG. I remember in the game going, "Come on, RNG." If I'd have got a time lock there, Slardar was definitely dead. But it's a 1-for-1 trade in lane. It's not terrible. I got the kill as well, so this snowballs me a little bit. And this is a really, really good start. A very, very good start indeed. Actually, if I just go to the free camera, and I think my Midas is on its way right now. In fact, yes it is. There's the Midas. So basically I've got a 6-minute Midas, which is really, really quick indeed. It's a very, very good start, and I'll come on to item progression a little bit, but let's continue to talk through Time Lock. The stun as well, which is incredibly useful on Faceless Void, actually goes through Magic Immunity, which is incredibly useful. So you can stun BKB wearing heroes with this, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, Black King Bar does block the damage, but it doesn't block the stun, which is very, very useful. So again, Faceless Void is a very, very good late game carry because he has a stun that works through Magic Immunity, which very few heroes have. He has evasion, which doesn't get disabled by True Strike, which again, I can't think of any hero off the top of my head which has that. I've probably forgotten someone knowing me, but these are two incredible abilities. And again, a little bit of trouble here, nearly dead, but I just time walk out and I can get away very, very safely. Pop myself, and I'm back up to full health pretty much. It looks like Venge is going to get away here. They blew a lot of their mana and the nukes on me. And we've got Lina wrapping around. We've got Storm Spirit ganking, so we turn around now. And these two guys are very, very dead. And there's the one guy down straight away. Storm's going to chase. I do have a time walk up, but it looks like he's going to get away. And Storm's actually probably got this kill. Lina misses the stun, and he gets away, which is a little bit harsh. If I would have gone straight away there, we probably would have killed the guy. But I didn't realise how much mana Storm had left. I thought he'd ran out. And I thought, you know, Tusk was on too much health and he was going to get away. So possibly could have got another kill there. Not a big deal. Got another kill in lane. It's a 5-1 start now. If I just have a look at the gold per minute. There we go. See, Storm Spirit's top and I'm second. And I got my Midas really, really early. So this has been an absolutely fantastic start. Considering we had a contested lane, they sent 2 people off lane. It wasn't, you know, the greatest combo. But Tusk and Slardar can be very, very annoying. You know, they've got great initiation from the Tusk with the ice shards into a snowball. They've got a stun on Slardar. They've got a lot of right-click damage. You know, and Faceless Void is pretty squishy. You know, I've had a pretty good start here. And I'm still relatively low. If you look at people like Slardar, they can do a huge amount of damage. You know, 100 damage on the crush, good right clicks. They've got a bash chance. If he procs the bash on me, I'm really, really in trouble. If you look at Tusk again, you know, ice shards, 140 damage at level 2, snowball, 120 damage at level 2. So if they get all of their nukes off of me, I'm already at, you know, half health, under half health. And if I get trapped, and this lane is so dead. You know, I saw this gank come in and managed to get away. It's just, I'm going to go into the jungle or get back to base here. There's no way I can defend this on my own. I'm just going to sit around, see what happens. But you know, this is what you have to do up against pretty much any carry, but especially someone like Faceless Void. You know, I have had a fantastic start to this game. You need to put pressure on carry heroes because it's no good trying to kill them 30 minutes in and suddenly realising, oh wow, that carry's really farmed. What are we going to do now? They have to put pressure on. They tried it there. But alas, it didn't work. And now I'm just sitting around waiting. You know, haven't seen where Shadow Fiend's gone yet. Seen he's, you know, dropped out the lane a little bit. The lane's in a relatively safe position in the tower. So now I can come back and begin to get a bit of CS again. And you see there, that is the time lock bash. You saw that very, very visually obvious. Locks them in place. 1 second for heroes, 2 seconds for creeps, like I mentioned. And does the extra damage, like you saw. So that's the good visual representation of that. And we actually managed to pick the courier off here. I think this is, you know, either the first time or the second time we've picked the courier off already at this stage. And we kill him, I think, 3 times in this gameplay, which is really, really helpful, actually. So that's enough of that. Let's talk about Chronosphere, which is his ultimate. I've just leveled it up, obviously hit level 6. Chronosphere is one of the most hilarious or one of the most frustrating ultimates, depending on who you are. It has a pretty large range, as you can see here. You know, I can cast this from a decent distance away. You know, Vengeful Spirit, no, Lena, sorry, gets picked off in lane there. You know, these guys were going a little bit more aggressive. I've already dropped out of lane. I'm going to go to the jungle. Good thing about Quelling Blade as well. Really does increase your damage against neutral creeps. So you can jungle relatively effectively once you get to this stage. I've got my Midas up as well. Want to be using that on as many, you know, large jungle creeps as possible for the extra experience. But let's talk again about Chronosphere. You know, just do a little bit of harassment on that Slardar. They're not going to kill him. Don't want to pop Chronosphere quite yet. You know, Chronosphere, you know, has a 600 range, like I mentioned. You can see that very, very obviously there. It's a 450 radius. You know, basically it looks like a blueberry, but it's a dome. And what it does, it freezes everyone in place. You know, neutral creeps, friendly creeps, enemy creeps. It even freezes buildings. So if you get a tower core in Chronosphere, that will be frozen, friendly or enemy. So obviously this has a huge, huge potential. You know, you can freeze people in, you know, position, the entire enemy team potentially, for 4 seconds at level 1, scaling up to 5 seconds at level 3. So it's 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds. And I'm thinking about trying to get one off here, actually. I see them all come in, and there's the Chronosphere. And catch all 3 of them, manage to keep Lena outside, which is really important. You know, immediately trap one guy, kill him straight away, and then Storm Spirit comes in, and we clean up, get a very, very easy double kill, and then I go back to farming. And you saw Chronosphere in use there very, very effectively. I caught 3 heroes in the Chronosphere. More importantly as well, I managed to keep Lena outside it, and this is the really important thing. You know, as much as possible, you want to leave as many of your friendly heroes outside of the Chronosphere. So when those enemies are trapped, you can just nuke them down, kill them as fast as possible. And you saw there, you know, we managed to kill Shadow Fiend before he'd done anything. He didn't get any abilities off. He didn't get any right-click damage off. He was just immediately dead. And if you can do that at the start of a team fight, that sways it so much in favour. because we'd already reduced their fighting capacity by a third before they had a chance to respond. So you see now the huge potential of Chronosphere. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, a few little things I wanted to mention about it. It gives you 1000 movement speed when you're in there, and the ability to walk through units, which is a huge amount of movement speed. And you know, this is to allow Faceless Void to, you know, go between enemy heroes in the Chronosphere as fast as possible, just to zip between them. And this is a time for me to back up here. I've seen 3 heroes bottom. They're really pressuring that lane now. They're probably going to start looking for me. Let's just get out of here, you know. Definitely a good time to do that. But going back to Chronosphere, you know, locks the enemy heroes in place, like I've mentioned. It gives you 1000 movement speed. It also doubles the amount of damage you get from a time lock bash, which is incredibly useful. So that damage will go to 80, 150, oh sorry, 80, 100, 120, 140. There we go. God, you can tell I'm terrible at maths, can't you? But that's a very useful thing. So not only does it lock the enemies in place, it gives you increased damage potential. I'm just waiting for Midas to go off cooldown here, if you're wondering what I'm doing, just so I can Midas a guy, and now I'm probably going to go back to base. But it has a 120 second cooldown at level 1, scaling down to 80 seconds at level 3. So at max level, every single, you know, basically just over a minute, you can go in and you can lock the enemy team in position. So basically late game, you can use it for solo kills pretty much, because if you think about it, once you've gone to like, you know, high level 20s, whatever, sometimes you're going to be taking over a minute to respawn. So basically what you can do is you can use your Chronosphere, you can kill a guy, he'll take 60 seconds to respawn, and then by the time he's respawned, he's got back to a lane, you've positioned for a fight, Chronosphere will be off cooldown again. So it's very powerful. But you know, you saw there, it has so much potential, but it also has the potential to screw your team over completely. If you catch people in there, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, especially if it's a major magic nuker or a major right-click hero. You know, I don't want to catch Lena in the Chronosphere, because you saw exactly why earlier. She blew a hero up with her nukes, got a very easy kill. So it does take a little bit of finesse using it. You can't just throw this out all the time. But that's enough on Chronosphere. Let's talk a little bit now about item builds. Now I've gone Hand of Midas first here, and this is a really greedy item. Now, you know, I had a fantastic starting lane here. We pretty much dominated bot lane. Even though they sent 2 heroes there, I had pretty good CS. Wasn't really missing too many CS at the start of the game, and you know, we managed to get a few kills, so I snowballed very nicely, and I got a 6-minute Hand of Midas, which is really quick. And the great thing about Hand of Midas, obviously, gives you 190 gold and 2 times experience every 100 seconds. So it enables you to snowball very well and get those major items early. If you can get a Hand of Midas early enough and keep it for 20-25 minutes, that is a huge amount of extra gold and experience you're getting. Let's just have a look at the hero levels here. So you can see there, you know, I'm a level 9, which isn't bad at all considering I was in a tri-lane bottom, so there were 3 heroes sapping experience bottom. You know, just hit level 10. That's a huge amount of extra experience it gives you, which is very nice. For example, look at the solo mid hero. You know, Shadow Fiend was the enemy solo mid. He's only 1 level above me, which is a really good start. And the faster you can hit like level 2 Chronosphere, you can get a few extra time lock levels in. It really does help me. Void certainly benefits. Now, I was debating chronoing this, but we didn't really have too much support there. We can see I was looking across the map, seeing where people were. We've got the fort up. You know, still debating. I probably could have chronoed now, but Lena missed the stun, and I was like, this hasn't really worked. Let's just go into the lane and get a few last hits, possibly. Again, you know, I could, you know, conceivably Chronosphere here, but as soon as you see Dazzle, you know, Dazzle is a fantastic hero against Faceless Void, because if you don't get Dazzle inside that Chronosphere, he can shallow grave someone, you know, keep them alive, and all of a sudden your initiation is ruined, because a hero you've used your ultimate on, you've spent a lot of time trying to blow up, is immediately saved. So you've got to be careful. You know, Dazzle is pretty much the #1 hero I want to get in that Chronosphere, and you know, we're looking like we're fighting mid. I've gone to the jungle for a little bit of extra farm just while people posture around, and this is important. You know, you need to get as much farm as possible. If the enemy had initiated there, I'd be in position for a great Chronosphere. And you know, Storm Spirit's going mental. He's trying to get as many kills as possible. He gets his godlike streak very early, and I Midas a creep, and the enemy team back off. And This is definitely the thing you have to do with Faceless Void. He's a carry who needs a huge amount of farm, especially because I've gone Midas first. A very, very greedy item build. I need to get farm. And this is why I think having a Storm Spirit or a very, very useful space creating hero in a team is so useful. Because Storm Spirit, he's gone around. If we have a look at the scoreboard, he's already 9-0-1. He has created so much space for me. He's put pressure on other lanes. He dominated mid, which is really useful. So Shadow Fiend didn't really successfully gank many of the other lanes. It's given me space to be greedy, which is really, really nice. But I've just picked up my first major item here, the Battle Fury. Now, you really want to build Faceless Void around his Chronosphere. Obviously, the Chronosphere is the main ability here. I'm just looking. Get in there, just walk up, Chronosphere, and we begin to right click. Again, I've kept Lena outside. Unfortunately, she has used all her nukes. Get the stun, and Anti-Mage blinks away, which is really, really unfortunate. Lich as well. If I can keep Lich outside the Chronosphere and he uses his ultimate or any spells at all, that is super useful. But unfortunately, Anti-Mage blinks away. It would have been really, really nice to kill him. Desperately trying to kill him, but at the end of the day, we picked a kill up there. I kept a couple of heroes alive who probably would have died if I hadn't have done it, and now I can go back to the jungle and farm, and this is my mistake. I was a bit greedy here, trying to time-lapse away, and Anti-Mage comes in and just nails me, which is unfortunate. I probably should have gone home there, but the fact was, Anti-Mage had picked up a haste rune. He got a little bit lucky. It was a debatable decision. We'd won the team fight mid. I was retreating back. We've still got our tier 1 up mid, so I thought I'd spot him, but he found the haste rune in the river. He caught me, and that was just a little bit unfortunate. But what are you going to do? I'm still, I had a great start. I've still had a really, really good start, and I've got my Midas and my Battle Fury up now. Like I've been mentioning, building Faceless Void and getting his item build together is all about maximising the amount of damage you can do in your Chronosphere, because you have a 5-second window to just blow enemy heroes up, and any item that you can get to do that is incredibly useful. So the Battle Fury obviously provides you 65 damage straight off the bat. Gives you nice amount of health regeneration, because you look at Faceless Void here, I'm level 11, I've had a pretty good start, I've got a decent amount of net worth. Let's get that out of the way. I can't because I'm actually looking at that in game. Have a look at the net worth. I'm 8,500 now, so I'm over 2,000 net worth above their most farmed hero on the enemy team, and I still have only just over 1,000 health. And this is a major problem with Faceless Void. Even though he has the evasion chance, the dodge chance, he is still squishy, and this looks like a really dead Venge. Really, really dead Venge there. I don't want to get involved in that, so go back to the jungle. And this is something you have to do with Faceless Void. Don't get tempted to get into team fights too early. You saw what happens, Went in a little bit early, I was really low on health. I don't have the damage output to do anything useful here. And I was debating Chronosphereing, and again, catch 3 heroes in the Chronosphere. Here comes the Lichel, bouncing around. Get a little bit unlucky with the bounces, but again, 2 heroes, and it's soon to be 3 heroes dead. And this is the great thing. With Faceless Void, you have to wait for the enemy to, go and overstretch themselves. You cannot be too aggressive early on. I waited for them to push the tower. I waited until I could get Dazzle inside of the Chronosphere, jumped in, chronoed. We had plenty of heroes outside it on our team. They could throw all of their nukes at them. We managed to kill one guy and get the second down to pretty much 20% health before the fight started. Then we just guaranteed ourselves 3 kills, and now I can go back to the jungle and farm. And this is really useful. And I see this Anti-Mage here. I actually hear him on the map, but I should stand and fight here. And this isn't looking particularly good. Storm Spirit comes in and saves my backside, which is absolutely beautiful. So you see the problem with Faceless Void here. Even up against Anti-Mage, I've got 3,500 more farm than this Anti-Mage, yet he still very nearly killed me, really close to killing me. And this is because I'm so squishy, really am squishy. So again, that little bit of extra HP regen, it's gone up to 8.3 now, is very, very useful. But the next item which you normally build on Faceless Void, you can go for this first, is the Mask of Madness. And Mask of Madness is an item you very, very rarely see on pretty much any hero. It's very rare for you to see this item. But on Faceless Void, it is undoubtedly a core item, I go as far to say, because it gives you 100 extra attack speed and 30% extra movement. for 12 seconds. So what you do is you cast your Chronosphere, you cast Mask of Madness, and that extra 100 attack speed enables you to get more damage out in that little bit of a period while the Chronosphere is up. And this is why it's such a good thing. It also gives you lifesteal as well, because it combines with a Morbid Mask, so it gives you 20% lifesteal, which is fantastic, because you've seen already Faceless Void, he's very, very squishy. You know, he has a low health amount. You know, 8 armor's not bad, but it's not amazing. You know, 8 armor's not going to keep you alive for long when you only have 11,000 health. I mean, you saw Anti-Mage there, he pretty much wrecked me in that one-on-one engagement. So it fills a nice niche on this hero. So I think it's been fired out in the courier now, should be arriving. But like I mentioned, you know, this increases your damage output so much. Let's get rid of that menu. It's a little bit annoying there, but top of the net worth now going pretty well. But this item increases your DPS so much. It really does. And I see the guys fighting here. Just picking the right time to engage. Jump in. Chronosphere. Catch them again. Only catch 2 this time, but you see the Mask of Madness is popped. And I just destroy Dazzle and Shadow Fiend. Go in again. Mask of Madness is still active. And Anti-Mage will probably get away here. No, his blink was off cooldown. Team wipe. Absolutely fantastic there. You saw Mask of Madness in use very, very well there. You know, you have to be careful though. Don't use it too early or too often, because it does increase the damage you take by 30%. And this is why it's not really seen, because it is a nice damage output. But again, taking that extra damage is never nice on a hero. But the reason why it fits so well with Faceless Void is because of his Chronosphere. For 5 seconds of that, you know, you will just be basically hitting people for free. It's very, very useful indeed. You know, definitely a core item on this hero. Don't really see it too often, but it's an item which is very, very useful. And the item I'm going to be building next, as you can see here, queued up in the bottom right, is the Deadless. Now, this is a questionable item choice. It is a little bit of a questionable item choice. It is incredibly greedy, but at this point, you know, we're so far ahead. I mean, we've got 25 kills to 12. Yeah, I've got 12k net worth. Their Anti-Mage now is falling further and further behind. Don't forget, I've got my Midas as well. If we have a look at Anti-Mage, what items has he got? If I click on him, he has got basically nothing. He's got a Vlad's, which I have no idea why he's built a Vlad's, and he's got a Yasha, so he's not even close to his Manta style, really. And if you have a look at that, you know, I've completed 1 core item, I've completed the 2nd core item, and I've already got a Midas. So I'm going to be farming so much faster than him, because I've got my Battle Fury up. He skipped the Battle Fury completely and bought a Vlad's. I can't understand that. You know, this is a really bad item build. Really, really bad indeed. And Storm Spirit, is he going to get away? He's gone very, very balls deep there. He is. He's going to get away. That's nice play from the Storm there. But yeah, Anti-Mage, despite the fact he's built a terrible item, and here we go again. Chronosphere, teammates that were backing up here. But still going to get another kill, get 2 kills again. So my Chronospheres this game, I was really, really pleased with how I did this, because I've got several 3-hero Chronospheres. I've got, you know, one by the tier 2 mid when we just wrecked a fight. I saved a few heroes in lane with a good Chronosphere. The fight by the bottom tier 2 again, got a decent Chronosphere, got Dazzle in the Chronosphere, which is huge. So to stop him shallow graving a core hero, that is absolutely massive. You know, so it's gone really, really well. On 5, 1 and 8. Excellent net worth. Have a look at the GPM. You know, 552 GPM, which is really nice. And now we can just start taking towers for free. You know, we win a fight, let's take a tower. Always got to have an objective when you win a fight, and we're beginning to snowball out of control now. But let's talk a little bit about the Deadless again. You know, the Deadless is definitely a greedy item, but it does fit in with the whole theme of doing as much damage in a Chronosphere as possible, because giving yourself that crit chance, you know, the extra 81 damage is nice. You know, a 25-second crit chance when you've got the increased attack speed from the Mask of Madness is massive. And don't forget, you've got cleave as well. So if I do a crit hit, that's quite nice to say, I will cleave for the crit damage as well, so it massively increases the amount of damage you can do. Items that you should possibly consider instead, you know, a Black King Bar. Black King Bar is very, very useful. You don't see it too often in pubs, not because it isn't a good item, because Black King Bar is an incredibly good item, but it's because it's always seemed to be a little bit boring. And in pubs, when I'm having just a bit of fun and messing around, I always like to go for increased damage. It's much more fun to do more damage than it is to take less damage. That's my thinking. But, you know, for example, I played a Faceless Void game when I was up against a Zeus, and every time I would, Chronosphere a guy, Zeus would just blow me up with nukes. And in situations like that, with a lot of magic nukers on the enemy team, you have to get a Black King bar. It is absolutely necessary, 100% necessary. Good thing is it also gives you a bit of extra strength for survivability as well, which is always nice. But in games like that, consider going like Battle Fury, possibly skipping the Midas. The only reason I got the Midas because I'd had such a good start, but you can conceivably skip the Midas. You try and get a Battle Fury by 15-16 minutes. That's a very, very solid amount, because that increases your farming rate so quickly anyway. Midas was just because I'd had such a good start. I wanted to capitalise on that as much as possible. But you could go like Battle Fury, Mask of Madness, BKB, and that is a very, very good item progression. And there we go. We get the stun. The slow's nice, and he just gets the shallow grave off. That is a pro shallow grave. But he's so dead here. He's incredibly dead. He was so dead I could even casually get a last hit while I was waiting for the shallow grave to go down. That's how dead he was. And Slardar is not particularly happy with Lena there in the chat. Sorry about that. But, Black King bar, very, very useful on Faceless Void. Again, like I mentioned earlier, instead of going for the Deadless, you could quite conceivably go for the Butterfly, because it gives you more agility, it gives you evasion. So, when it's stacked with the backtrack evasion, it gives you 51% evasion chance, which is absolutely huge. If you're up against a major right-click carry, obviously Anti-Mage is a major right-click carry, but he's so far behind. If you're up against a carry who has similar farm to you, getting a Butterfly is a really, really good choice, because the evasion, the agility, the attack speed, very, very useful. Very, very useful item. But, I decided to go for the Deadless, and it's just on the courier now. It's flying over, and as you can see here, I've queued up the Butterfly as my last item. And, it's going to be pretty much a 6-slotted hero at this point. So I've got my Deadless and Battle Fury. That's a huge amount of damage between these three. The Midas is quite nice as well, because it gives you attack speed. 30 attack speed is nothing to be sniffed at. It's a huge amount of attack speed. So that does help to my DPS as well. But what I'll probably do is sell the TP, or I could sell the Midas at some point. And we see this guy, we've got the gem up, and he certainly dies. Nice stun from Slardar there, but he's very dead. Very, very dead. And we pick off 2 heroes. We're considering chase him. That was a nice spot from Venge as well there. That Tuskar is really dead. But you see there, the importance of trying to get Dazzle in that Chronosphere. That excellent shallow grave very nearly resulted in the dead hero. That Tusk was on 1 HP, yet he very nearly killed our Vengeless Spirit. Vengeful Spirit, not Vengeless Spirit. That's a cross between Faceless Void and Vengeful Spirit, isn't it? Vengeless Spirit. But you see there why it's so important for me to try and get this Dazzle in the Chronosphere whenever I can. But I didn't have to use Chronosphere there. You see, we absolutely melt Roche at this point. The Mask of Madness lifesteal is good. I can time lock Roshan, as you can see there, get lucky. And we pick him up, and I give Storm Spirit the Aegis, because Storm Spirit is probably the best Aegis the Immortal Carrier in game, when you think about it. When you respawn with full mana and full health, and the person who can use that most effectively is Storm Spirit, because obviously Ball Lightning, having the most mana is really, really useful. He can get all of his abilities off. He's definitely a useful Aegis carrier, and I'm at the point now where I do a huge amount of damage, but once my Chronosphere's gone and I've punched a lot of people down, it's not the end of the world if I die. I'm going to be giving up a fair amount of gold, but if Storm Spirit was to come back, with all of his disables and lockdown, it's much more useful in a team fight than it is for me. As long as I can get my Chronosphere off, kill a couple of heroes, if then they blow me up after that, it's not the end of the world. If they choose to initiate on Storm and blow him up, he will come back with all of his mana, all of his health, and then he can cause a huge amount of problems. So, oh, pardon me, just had a bit of a block throat there. We're in a position now where we can do a huge amount of work. Unfortunately, our courier died, which is a little bit of a mistake. And we see this Slardar here. He gets swapped, and this guy looks pretty dead, and he is. That was just really, really foolish from that Slardar there. He just shouldn't have been there. We've got Vengeful Spirit who can swap him out of position. We've got 2 stuns there, and we've got my passive stun chance. So that was just really, really foolish. You just cannot stand there as a Slardar in that situation. And now we've got Aegis. I can't remember if we saw that Shadow Fiend. We did see him, but the gem is not on us. Is Storm carrying the gem? Let's have a look. Yeah, Storm's carrying the gem, and he went the wrong way, unfortunately. So Shadow Fiend managed to get out of there. But we managed to farm the jungle. If you have a look at the huge amount of map control, you know, we've got Shadow Fiend in our secret shop at the moment. That's because he's just ran away. But look at the rest of the enemy team. You know, they're so scared to come out of their base. And this is what Storm Spirit does to you. He creates so much space because he's so aggressive. He can really get in your face. And this Shadow Fiend thinks he's picked up an easy target. Lina yules him up in the air. And we have the gem on Storm. And that guy's dead. Incredibly dead. This is what Storm does. He creates the space for me just to go around Midas things in the jungle, get farm. Let's have a look at the net worth now. You know, I am 9,000 ahead of Anti-Mage, and at this point we've won the game. You know, there's no coming back from this. I have a Midas. I've got my Daedalus Battle Fury Mask of Madness combo. I'm not too far of completing my Butterfly, so I'm very nearly 5-slide here. And after that, what I probably do, sell the Midas, get a BKB, and possibly sell the Treads and get, you know, Boots of Travel, something along those lines. But I'm very nearly a 6-slide Faceless Void at the 32-minute mark, which isn't bad at all. You know, 9,000 ahead of Anti-Mage, their Shadow Fiend. Our Lina has more farm than their Shadow Fiend does, so we're just so far ahead, and now's the time where we can very, very safely and easily high ground. You know, it's a little bit annoying to high ground against this lineup. You know, you've got Tusk spamming his Ice Shards. You've got Dazzle be able to heal the wave and push them out. But we've managed to pick up a kill now. You know, this is just us taking our time. We don't want to throw anything away. We see Anti-Mage backdoor him. I teleport back, and I think I kill him here, actually. Get the Chronosphere off, and he just dies. And that's the end of him. So clear him up, stop the cheeky backdoor, and now we can just pick a lane and push. We really need to just pick a lane and push. We're so far ahead. Again, I kill the enemy carry, put him even further behind. You know, what items has he got now? Actually, let's have a look at this Anti-Mage. He's picked up his Manta style. He decided not to go Battle Fury, which is, again, a strange one. You know, he's a long way behind, and we've picked up a Scythe of Ice. We've picked up a Scythe of Ice on our Storm Spirit. We've got a Lich who's managed to afford a Veil, an Aghanim Scepter, and a Mechanism this game. We've had a look at the Lina. We've got Lina who's managed to afford a Yules, a Force Staff, you know, all of these items. Oh, we're so farmed. Have a look at Vengeful Spirits. We've actually got 2 mechs. We have 2 mechanisms. That's how farmed we are this game. You know, it's not the worst thing having 2 mechs. You know, having 2 urns is a problem. Having the ability to burst heal that much, it's not, you know, a massive deal. Obviously, you'd like to have a pipe instead, or something along those lines. You know, possibly an Orchid instead. And this is when the Shadow Fiend feeds the courier. And yes, he did get reported for this, but I think that was just a bit sad. You know, he's gone 5, 12, and 3. He's not had a particularly good game. He started just to feed the courier now, which is just, it's really bad. And I'm just sitting here trying to get a good Chronosphere off. I'm at the stage now where I can do a huge amount of damage, and I see them split up. I'm just waiting for them to get back together. You know, decide not to chrono because we've got all the heroes there. You know, in a situation like this, there's not a need to Chronosphere. You know, we're gonna kill the heroes, try and save it for a massive team fight. You know, I could have used it there, but it wasn't necessary. And that's the thing; it's being clever with your cooldowns. You know, Aegis is gonna get reclaimed in a minute here. I suppose we've got a lot of kills with this Aegis. We haven't been, you know, idle with it. But we should have pushed high ground a long time ago. You know, we had the top 4 heroes in the net worth. Let's have a look at the hero level. Again, the top 4 heroes in hero level. And now's the time when we decide to push. Because there's just no way they can defend this. They cannot defend this, you know. They've got a little bit of counter push, but this tower is just going to melt. I'm just punching this thing down. Actually, that Shadow Fiend is really dead. Very, very dead there. But you see here the power of Faceless Void. Yeah, he's certainly a situational hero, I think. You know, he's a hero who needs a lot of farm, but he has a ridiculously powerful ultimate. And you see this game. If you give him space to farm, he is absolutely devastating. And you see that, a great Shallow Grave from Dazzle. I mean, Dazzle played reasonably well this game. He got a lot of Shallow Graves off. But there's only so much a Shallow Grave can do for you when you're this far behind. And now we're high grounding at will. There's really no problem to this at all. If anyone comes up, we can conceivably kill them. Oh, I think that's a Blink Dagger on Vengeful Spirit as well. It is. We've actually got a Blink Dagger on Vengeful Spirit. There's the Chronosphere, and I just... Anti-Mage is dead. Anti-Mage is flat out dead there. And so's Dazzle. You know, caught Dazzle in the Chronosphere. He couldn't Shallow Grave anyone, and they die. And this is GG. This is just a flat out GG. You know, we've got Storm Spirit dive in the fountain. I'm a bit unsure what to do. Start punching buildings. When in doubt, punch a building. we could go for the throne at this point, but it's always safer to go for a second lane of racks. 2 lanes of racks up. These guys are so far behind and they're completely lost. And now I think this is the point for me to go in, try and save Storm Spirit's life, get in, and he's dead. That is, again, really, really useful hero. 9 kills, 1 death, 18 assists. This has been a very, very solid Faceless Void game. Really, really useful. And it's just a good, good example of how the hero needs to be played. What you're looking to do is you're looking to have a good start in lane, as always. You get your farm. If you can get a lot of support lane, it's very, very useful. You saw had Vengeful Spirit and Lena in lane, 2 stuns, so that enabled us to get a couple of kills in lane. Really, really effectively fight. And then mid-game, you want to start taking smart team fights. You don't want to be 5-manning as Faceless Void. Definitely don't do that. But what you want to be looking to do is pick up team fights at the right time. You saw when they overextended mid, trying to push the tier 2, came in Chronosphere. You saw the fight at the bottom tier 2. They pushed in, I arrived at the right time, got a good Chronosphere off, we picked heroes off. Do that, get your farm, pick the right items, and you can have a huge amount of fun with Nuclear, not with Nuclear Raccoon, that's my name, Faceless Void. There we go, get my words out. But once again guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, and as always, have a great day.